Welcome to the Ink Productivity Tip of the Day. Today's tip. 150 years ago, Vincent van Gogh explained how to lead a good life in difficult times. Modern psychology agrees. An expert opinion by Jessica Stillman. Painter Vincent van Gogh is best known for two things: his hugely influential style and his personal struggles. The now world-renowned artist infamously cut off his own ear during a mental health crisis and died by suicide at age 37. Van Gogh may be no one's idea of a health and wellness guru, but his struggles are what make his personal correspondence so fascinating. In more than 200 published letters, the artist wrestled with his demons and attempted to find meaning and peace amidst pain and hardship. His artistic genius and the mental distress on display in these writings might not be relatable to most of us, but the question of how to lead a good life despite the difficulties and losses the world throws at us is something we all share. One letter to his brother Theo, written about 150 years ago, offers a particularly moving account of how Van Gogh approached this universal problem. Reading it recently, I was struck by just how close it sounds to some of the latest insights from psychology research, and how useful it could be to modern leaders living in a chaotic world. He wrote, "The ray from on high doesn't always shine on us, and is sometimes behind the clouds." It was indeed a cloudy period for the 25-year-old future genius. At the time, he had his eyes set on becoming a preacher, but things weren't going well for him in his chosen career path. He would fail his entrance exam to one theology school later that year. Then he failed out of another missionary school as well. This had to be a big blow to Van Gogh, but he consoles himself in the face of looming disappointment. He who lives uprightly and experiences real difficulties and disappointments, and yet is not overcome by them, is worth more than someone who prospers and knows nothing but good fortune, he writes. He then tries to buck himself up with words of advice. Let us therefore go on calmly, examining everything and holding fast to what is good, always striving to learn more of what is useful and to acquire more experience. Later adding, and let us not worry too much about our shortcomings, for he who has none nevertheless has one shortcoming, precisely that of having none. The idea that having tried, failed, and survived is better than having sailed through life untouched by loss is certainly not unique to Van Gogh. The poet Alfred Lord Tennyson captured much the same sentiment when he penned the famous line, "It is better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." Back when Van Gogh was writing his way through disappointment, this could be seen as romantic wisdom for artistic types. These days, it has scientific backing. Recent work by Shigehiro Oishi of the University of Chicago and his collaborators asked people around the world what a good life looked like. As you'd expect, many people mentioned pleasure and enjoyment. Plenty of others stressed meaning or a sense of purpose. But a third important route to a good life emerged as well. The psychologists termed it psychological richness. A life of psychological richness is full of complex mental engagement, a wide range of intense and deep emotions, and diverse, novel, surprising, and interesting experiences. Sometimes the experiences are pleasant, sometimes they are meaningful, and sometimes they are neither pleasant nor meaningful. They are rarely boring or monotonous, however, explains cognitive scientist Scott Barry Kaufman in Scientific American. With its many difficulties, Vincent van Gogh's life wasn't one of uncomplicated pleasures. With his perpetually insecure career prospects and tempestuous personal life, a sense of purpose seems to have been elusive too. But the great artist had psychological richness in spades. It is this richness of experience and emotion that Vincent van Gogh uses to comfort himself as his first career plan is falling apart. Simple pleasures and clear meaning might have been in short supply, but he could continue examining everything and always striving to learn more of what is useful and to acquire more experience. When success and contentment were outside his control, he aimed to experience more and more deeply. So can all of us when faced with our own career crises and uncertain futures. Oishi explains in his book, life in 3 dimensions. Focusing on greater richness of experience can be deeply empowering. He wrote, "Many of us fall into the happiness trap and try to avoid negative events. It's okay to fail here and there. It's okay to feel negative emotions now and then. Natural disasters happen. You get sick. These challenges will make you wiser. When happiness seems out of reach, you can still acquire psychological richness. Having no shortcomings might sound nice, but as Van Gogh notes in his letter, having no shortcomings is a shortcoming of its own. A smooth and spotless life is generally a pretty shallow one too. No one should aim for pain and suffering just to add some color to life, but you don't have to. The world will provide them to you. When these difficulties arise, it can be tempting to think of them as pushing you further away from the good life. Van Gogh's letter and Oishi's work are a healthy reminder that's not necessarily true. Ups and downs give us psychological richness, and psychological richness is another path to the good life too. That's it from Inc. You can find more expert opinions from today's top business minds at Inc.com. Come back tomorrow for another tip from Inc.